The Mystery Compact Rifle in Mission Impossible Fallout is a unique and rare HK416 variant, and we'll break down what makes it different a bit later. The story runs from Berlin to Paris to London and then up into the mountains, and each location brings a different tool: steel handguns, polymer duty pistols, that compact carbine, and belt-fed firepower once things go airborne. But the baseline is even simpler. Ethan's first handgun is a century-old .45 that looks almost out of place in a modern spy sprint. So why do the gun choices keep changing like that? Ethan Hunt carries a Colt M1911A1, and it instantly reads like old-school muscle inside a modern spy problem. The 1911 platform is a single-action, recoil-operated design built around .45 ACP, officially adopted way back in 1911 and still copied endlessly because the basic layout is just that solid. In the classic government-size form, it's usually a slim, single-stack pistol with a 7-round magazine in .45. So it's not chasing capacity. It's leaning on a heavy for caliber cartridge and that straight, clean trigger feel people associate with single-action pistols. Once Berlin's plan collapses, the next handgun you notice is at the Paris safehouse table. And the tell is a polymer frame with a weird paddle-style magazine release. Ethan carries a Heckler & Koch USP Compact when Paris starts squeezing in on him. And it's a very working gun choice. The USP line is hammer-fired with a polymer frame, and the compact version exists for the same reason every compact does. Shorter overall, easier to carry, still built like a duty pistol. One standout USP detail is its recoil reduction setup. Basically a built-in buffering system meant to soften the impact and reduce wear over high round counts. Another signature is H&K's ambidextrous paddle magazine release at the trigger guard instead of the classic push button, which is one of those things you either love instantly or you never stop noticing. That leads straight into the Paris police presence outside, where uniforms draw a French contract SIG, and the big clue is that its model name is basically a calendar year. A Paris police prefecture officer draws a SIG Pro SP 2022 during the Paris operation. And that's one of those real-world agency pistols that pops if you know it. The SP 2022 comes from SIG's SIG Pro line, which was their early move into polymer frame duty guns, while keeping the classic double-action/single-action feel SIG people expect. It also arrived right as rails and modular fit became the norm. So you get an accessory rail up front and interchangeable grip pieces to better match different hands. In 9x19mm, it's a full-size service pistol built to live on a belt, not a tiny backup. From there, in the same Paris pressure cooker, another SIG shows up with a metal frame and a rail, and the promise is it's the one with the older 1980s pedigree behind its shape. Ilsa carries a Sig Sauer P226R in the mountain stretch, classic full-size duty SIG. The P226 family was born in the early 1980s for major military-style pistol trials, and it's a locked breech, double-action/single-action 9mm that built a reputation on reliability and controllability. The R is the rail-equipped update, which is why the dust cover area looks more squared off than older smooth front P226s. In 9mm, you're typically talking a 15-round magazine, and the alloy frame keeps it feeling solid without being a pure brick. Moments later, when the action funnels into a tiled bathroom, a small Eastern Bloc-style pistol hits the floor, and the key giveaway is an adjustable rear sight you don't expect on a true issue gun. John Lark, pulls a Baikal IJ-70 in the Paris bathroom fight, and it's a curveball next to all the Western service pistols. The IJ-70 is a commercial export take on the Makarov PM pattern, commonly chambered in 9x18mm Makarov, and it leans into that simple blowback-era compact pistol vibe. The easiest visual tell is the adjustable rear sight, which is more civilian export than plain military sidearm, and it's a fast way to separate it from the standard PM look. A lot of these IJ-70s trace back to Russian production starting in the early 1990s, which fits the whole post-Cold War export wave that put them all over the place. Once the fight spills back out and you catch Ethan looking through a car windshield, something much longer comes up next, and it's the mysterious piston-driven 5.56 carbine wearing a short, almost chopped barrel. Ilsa shoulders a Heckler & Koch HK416C when she confronts Ethan in Paris, and later when things pop off again. And it's one of the most aggressive, in-your-face rifles in the whole story. The HK416 family is a 5.56 by 45mm NATO platform with a short-stroke gas piston and a rotating bolt, built around the idea of keeping more heat and fouling out of the receiver than the classic direct impingement AR approach. The C label is tied to an ultra-compact concept variant, often described around a 9-inch barrel, which pushes it into that short, punchy carbine category people associate with tight spaces. In Fallout, it's also paired with a magnified optic that makes it look even more purposeful when it's leveled straight at you. That leads into the helicopter cabin, where the next weapon is louder, heavier, and famous for being the compact Para version. August Walker uses a Fabrique Nationale Minimi Para during the helicopter chase climax, and that's the moment Fallout stops pretending it's only about pistols and carbines. The Minimi is a 5.56 by 45mm light machine gun introduced in the late 1970s and adopted widely around the world. And in US service, it's best known as the M249. The Para variant is the compact take, built around a shorter barrel and a collapsing stock so it's more manageable than the full-length gun in cramped environments. It's primarily belt-fed, which is why the whole package feels like it's about sustained fire and volume, rather than quick, neat little reload moments. And after the rotors, the hanging gear, and that cloth-fed setup, the next thing your brain snaps back to is the simple old-school 45 shape from the very beginning, and why it still belongs here. So here's what the movie's doing. It starts with the Colt 1911 to show Ethan can still run classic. Then it leans on modern duty staples like the USP Compact and SP 2022 when the story gets crowded with uniforms, checkpoints, and city pressure. The P226R sits in the middle as the no-nonsense metal SIG that feels official and disciplined, while the IJ-70 is the weird imported throwback that makes a fight feel unpredictable. Then Ilsa's HK416C through the windshield and Walker's Minimi Para in the helicopter crank the scale up hard. The takeaway is simple. Fallout uses firearms like a dial, old to modern, small to huge, to match how contained or out of control each moment feels.